My name is Cass. I'm an attorney with Legacy Tax Advisors. I'm back today to talk more about trusts. Today our question is, how can you put property in trust? So this is a very popular question, and we'll talk about maybe 5 different types of property you can put in trust today. But before I do that, I'd like to give some background about trusts, talk about what is a trust, what are the reasons why we want to even create a trust. So we'll talk about the different trust goals, and then last we'll talk about the trust relationship. So what is a trust? So a trust is one of several different estate planning documents you have in your estate plan. And a trust, particularly a living revocable trust, is one of those documents, and a living revocable trust is one of the most common trusts you can have. Be sure to check out our other videos that talk about the 5 most common trusts that people create. So people create trusts to essentially to take their property out of their estate before they pass. If your property is in your estate when you pass, all of this property has to go through probate. Now, probate avoidance is actually the #1 estate planning goal, but we'll talk more about those goals, or the other 2 goals, and we'll focus on probate. So the reason why we want to avoid probate is that it's a very time-consuming and a very costly court process. So you can avoid this process by creating your own trust. Essentially, you do the job of the court where you name your trustee, you name someone to have the power of your signature when you pass. This person will then distribute and transfer your assets per your wishes of your trust document. When you do this process and you plan ahead, then the court doesn't have to do this, where it's again going to cost a lot of money and it's going to take a lot of time. All right, so those are the 2 biggest issues with probate court. Let's talk about the costs. We're looking at about 5% of your estate that will be spent on attorney's fees, court costs. And then if you're in a state of estate taxation, your estate has to pay out estate taxes first. So all of these costs have to be paid out before your beneficiaries receive anything. And of course, as small business owners, we want to pass as much of our wealth to our beneficiaries as possible. So this is the issue with the costs. The second issue is the timing, the time that it gets through probate. Right now, it takes about a year and a half to get through probate in the best case scenarios of a simple estate, and we're talking about simple as in under $50,000, perhaps there's not a lot of ownership of property. We're looking at 3 to 6 months, but in complex estates, we're looking at several years. Okay, so again, we want to spare our loved ones the pain and anguish. We want them to allow them to have this grieving process without worrying about this sort of financial grief and worried about when they'd be receiving their inheritance. When you create your trust, the trustee is able to facilitate that smooth transfer of property to your beneficiaries. When we also talk about the time frame, this is also a big issue, especially if you're a small business owner. When you pass, and if your business is not in trust, that business also has to go through probate. And you can imagine that if you were the sole person providing the services for your clients, now your clients are not receiving the services, therefore your business is now losing clients and now losing money. And this is actually the #1 reason why a majority of businesses fail, due to the passing of an owner of the company, due to the lack of business succession planning. So you can plan by putting your business in trust. If you have any questions about that, go ahead and reach out to us at Legacy. Again, I'm Cass, trusts@legacytaxadvisorsllc.com. Right, so that's the reason why we want to avoid probate, which is our #1 estate planning goal. Our other estate planning goals, our second one would be to reduce taxes, and our third would be asset protection. So those are our estate planning goals. On to our trust relationship. So some of you might be on today because you've got our trust ebook, and thank you so much for that. I bring up the ebook because in the ebook I do refer to the trust relationship as a love triangle, because there are 3 people in that relationship. We have our grantor, we have our trustee, and then our beneficiary. Now, I like to use the term grantor for conceptualization reasons. It's easier to understand that, you are granting or you're gifting money into the trust, you're putting money in the trust. But there are other names for grantor you've probably heard of. You've probably heard of settlor. That's probably the most popular. trustor, trust maker, benefactor. So there's a lot of different names. All of these names mean the same person, grantor. All right, so the grantor, you are putting your personal property in trust. So your personal property will be retitled into the name of the trust. So now the trust owns what was your property. All right, so now the property is in trust under the management of the trustee. So that's our second person in our trust relationship. The trustee is going to be the person managing those assets per your wishes that you've documented in your trust document. All right, so the trustee has a very interesting relationship, we say in law, because they're like this quasi-owner, but they don't get to enjoy the use of the property. So the trustee is managing these assets for the use and benefit of the beneficiary. So those are the three people in our trust relationship. Again, grantor, trustee, and beneficiary. So now on to our question for today. We are talking about how to fund your trust. So we'll talk about different types of property. Today we will discuss bank accounts. We'll talk about vehicles, real estate, business interests, so how to put your business in trust, and then life insurance. Okay, so let's start with bank accounts. This is probably one of the most common. So essentially you just have to go into your bank and ask them about their procedures. Usually they'll be giving you a bank card, you'll fill it out. Usually when filling it out, they have different boxes, and one of those boxes will be trust account. You want to check that. So that's how you're going to be changing your personal account into a trust account. Also, to fund your trust, there are three main elements that require you to make this transition, this transfer, and you'll do this for all of your property. And those three elements will be, when you're signing the dotted line, you'll be putting in the name of the trust. So we get a lot of questions about what should I name my trust. So you definitely want to think of something perhaps concise. My husband's name is Favreau, so like the Favreau Family Trust. So something that's going to fit on these lines, because you have to write these three elements to put all of the things in trust. So you have to write the name of the trust. Usually we write UA after for under agreement. Then you'll write the date of the trust, and thereafter you'll write the name of the trustee. All right, so you can imagine you have to fit all of that onto these lines. And so that's what you'll do when you go into the bank and you fill out the bank card to transfer your personal bank account into the name of the trust. And of course, if you're opening any other bank accounts thereafter, you'll just open all of those bank accounts in the name of the trust using those three elements. All right, so that's bank accounts. Now we have vehicles. So you can transfer your vehicles by transferring the title. All right. Now, with vehicles, we actually do recommend to our clients to go ahead and transfer or to put your next vehicle in trust, just to save yourself the work. You can put the vehicle that you have now in trust, but you're going to have several other cars in your lifetime. So just think that when you get your next car, to go ahead and put that car into trust. All right. And again, you're putting that in trust by changing the title. So that's how we'll do that. So the next type of property we'll talk about, real estate, is that you can transfer your real estate property into trust by quit claim deed or warranty deed. All right. Also, you'll need like a copy of the certification of trust. Be sure to check out other videos. We've talked about the different types of trust documents, and a certification of trust. It's just a very shortened version of the trust document, also known as the corpus, and it just has the main information that's usually required by third parties or financial institutions. Those three elements in the certification of trust is going to be essentially the name of the trust, the date of the trust, and the name of the trustee. Okay. The next type of property you might think of putting in trust will be your business. Okay, so to put your business in trust, you actually want to look back into the foundation documents. So if you have an LLC, you want to look at your operating agreement, or if you're a partnership, review your partnership agreement about what it says about transferring interest into trust, or being able to do this. So that's the first thing that you want to consult with first. And then, for example, if you want to make your trust or to put your interests of your LLC in trust, that would be making your trust a member. All right. And if you have any question about the percentage in the holdings, go ahead and reach out to us, and we're happy to work with you on putting your business in trust. All right. And then the last type of property and assets we'll talk about today is life insurance. It's very popular. A lot of people already have life insurance, so they think to then change their policy to make the trust the owner. Now, you can do that. Definitely consult with your insurance company about their procedures. But the only issue with that, if you already own the policy and then you change the name, this does trigger the IRS 3-year look back. So if you happen to pass within 3 years of making this change, unfortunately, the proceeds of the life insurance will not escape estate taxation, essentially. So that's just something to consider. If you don't have life insurance already, or perhaps you consider creating an ILIT, which is an insurance, a life insurance trust. These two ways of going about creating a trust for your life insurance does not trigger the IRS 3-year look back. So if you create this ILIT, or if you create a new policy and you from the inception of that policy, you make the trust the owner. All right. So that was sort of our overview about how you can put some types of property in trust. Again, today we've talked about bank accounts, we talked about vehicles, real estate, business interests, and then lastly, life insurance. If you have any questions about how to put other types of property in trust, go ahead and reach out to us at Legacy, and we're happy to work with you. We do offer actually mentorships where we assist our clients with drafting their trust documents along with other estate planning documents. We also assist with trust funding, so essentially what we've talked about here. And we've kind of gone into this space because we've received inquiries nationwide about funding, people wanting to fund their trusts. Because people have trust documents that either they've created themselves or they've worked with an attorney, but they've not received the information or the education about how to go about funding their trust. And this is a very, very, very important process, because if you've not gone through the work of putting all of these assets in trust, and if you pass, those assets that are outside of trust will go through probate. And of course, it's sort of defeated the purpose of even having created a trust if you have the trust document but you've not funded it. So again, writing the document is as equally as important as putting all of the assets into the trust. So we do assist our clients with that. Also, we do provide advisory services for trust administration. So if you've named yourself as a trustee, or to give services to your successor trustee, we do offer that as well. So again, reach out to us at Legacy. We're happy to work with you. And be sure to check out our ebook or our audiobook for your general trust questions. And then if you are looking to understand a little bit more about different estate planning documents, such as wills, there's a lot of different types of wills, such as joint wills, simple wills, holographic wills. There's a lot of different types of wills. If you want to know more about durable powers of attorney, so go ahead and check out our courses. So our courses will sort of do a really great overview of those documents and help you understand what documents you want to put into your estate plan. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any questions about the content of this video, again, leave your questions on this video. I do go back through to check and I can respond there, or send me a message on Facebook. If you find anyone, or if you know anyone that might find value in the information in this video, please share. We're really looking to reach as many people as possible to share this information. Again, we are really wanting to help people to spare their family members and their loved ones from this probate process. Again, it's extremely time-consuming, very costly, and we want to, allow our loved ones to grieve, grieve our passing without additional financial stress and strain, and not having to deal with this probate process. So again, thank you everyone for joining me today, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.